Thanks very much, Al. That was endearing. Our second reader tonight is Marge Saiser. And Marge is the author of 5 books of poetry and co-editor of 2 anthologies. Her work's been published in American Life and Poetry, The Writer's Almanac, Nimrod, Rattle, Poetry Magazine, Rhino, and in addition, she's received the Willa Award for her 4th book, Losing the Ring in the River. She's also received several Nebraska Book Awards, so please receive generously here Marge Saiser.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Al, for those poems, especially that High Wire poem. I'll start with a poem about doors. We all entered one to come in here. There's a door in this world. I don't mean the patio door I roll open at midnight to admit the dark air, which has been waiting under stars like a beloved dog scratching to be let in. I mean an opening to some other part, some life nobody has any real words for. I roll the door open and stand barefoot, unlighted, the cool breeze nosing in like a pet, licking around my face and arms. There may be doors, but hey, I'm on this side now, and my work is to stand on this X where I am, minding my own business, which at the moment includes wondering about the silhouette the palm tree makes, surmising where the dove is and the owl, what doors they are, what door I may be. You know, tonight I'd like to thank in public, he's not here, Greg Kosminski is sick tonight, but I want to thank him anyway, as I have many times to myself, for giving me a big break, publishing my first book. It was after a reading, like tonight, this guy I didn't know came up and introduced himself, said, "I'm Greg Kosminski, this is my son." His son at that time was about this tall. And he says, I'm gonna have a press someday, and I want to publish your book. Dream come true, right? So I want to thank him and Debbie for that. This doesn't mean that the poems I'm going to read are in any way his fault. They're just some new work. Here I am imagining my mother's life as a child. My mother, the child. She didn't get her hand stuck and chopped off in the corn picker. She didn't make headlines that way in the county paper. But there must have been a day something happened to the unmarked child she was. Something I can't reach back and save her from. And it, or he, got her, wrung her turtle dove heart, or filled her mouth and eyes with fear, which drained away, of course, and which also settled like the level of water in the water table to influence what would flourish above the surface in the rows. Cabbages big as wash tubs, radishes waiting to be pulled up by the tops, onions sweet as apples. And yet it was there, something, sometimes, shriveled the pears on the tree, not to be explained. Some seasons, the fruit was stunted and hard, and a gray bird moved among the empty branches. Here's a poem about my mother giving me the watch off her arm. She gives me the watch off her arm. She wants me to go to college. The closest she has ever been is this, the dorm. Her father had needed her to dig the potatoes and load them into burlap bags. But here she is, leaving her daughter on the campus, in the city. Time to go. We are at the desk, and the clerk is wide-eyed when my mother asks her if she will take an out-of-town check if the need arises, if something comes up, so my girl will have money. Even I know this isn't going to happen, this check cashing, a clerk helping me with money. But miracle of miracles, the clerk says nothing, and I say nothing, and my mother feels better. We go to the parking lot, old glasses, thick dark hair. She is wearing a man's shirt, has to get back to the job. We stand beside her Ford, and it is here she undoes the buckle of the watch and holds it out to me. My father's watch, keeping good time for him and then for her. She says she knows I will need a watch to get to class. We hug, and she gets in, starts the car, eases into traffic, turns at the light. No wave. The metal of the back of the watch is smooth to my thumb, and it keeps for a moment a warmth from her skin. Actually, tonight I borrowed Don's watch. Don gave me the watch off his arm. It was warm. This one is called What I Learned from My Mother. What I learned from my mother. Tell a lie and then believe it. Don't talk to your sister for years. Drink coffee all day. Don't buy fancy clothes. Don't compliment anybody, they'll get the big head. Don't trust the bank, the church, the post office. Take every opportunity to use algebra. If you are afraid you'll forget where you stashed this or that, write yourself a note in shorthand. Nobody knows shorthand much anymore. Read the newspaper, keep tabs. Do the crossword in ink. Don't say what you are thinking. Don't say what you are thinking. Don't say what you are thinking. Don't buy bananas at Martin's Grocery. Don't forget what you think your friend said, and don't ever check it out to see what she meant. Love your daughter so much all her life. She will know it someday after you are dead. We have a couple orange trees in the backyard in Arizona, and the orange tree shows up in this poem. It's called, I Have Put Off Apology, Mother. I have put off apology, Mother, for the grief I gave, grief wrapped in ignorance and innocence, same wrapping as the grief you gave. We are innocents, both of us, now in separate worlds, you beyond apology. But I offer remorse anyway, into the wind, blowing tonight, relentless, tearing at the citrus tree. It is heavy with green fruit, Mother, and will crack. Stop shaking and pushing further than wood can stand. Stop whipping my hair out long before me, streaming it back behind me, ruffling it into my face. Anger, yet you could not act. Hair pulled back, beaten down on the skull. Foolish girl, bad, shameful child. The wind beats my hair, would, if it could, if it had arms, take me to its old thin body and hold. Another poem with Mom and the orange tree. Picked this orange today for you, Mom. Chose it from a branch I could barely reach. Took its globe into my fingers, twisted, pulled hard, because it was reluctant. Wanted to nest in the leaves, stay afloat, stay hidden. See how its seldom talked about thorn tore my hand, but only a little. See how its sweetness resides like a made-up story behind its beautiful hide. Final shirt. After my father died, my mother and my sisters chose the shirt, the tie. He had just the one suit. I left them to it. I didn't want to choose. I loved him all those years. They took a shirt from the closet. I don't remember which one. I'm sure he had worn it to church and hung it up again. They held a tie against the cloth of the shirt. They decided, finally, it's like that. Things come down to the pale blue or the white or some other. Someone buttoned it over him, those buttons he had unbuttoned. We came back from Arizona Thursday, and it was quite something for me coming back to the grasslands. I love the desert, but it was a homecoming. Those barbed wire fences, those sturdy farmhouses like my father used to build. The trees started to leaf out. I feel like tonight is a homecoming, coming back to poetry in Nebraska. So thank you, each of you, for being in the room tonight. I'll read some non-mother poems. When life seems a to-do list, when the squares of the week fill with musts and shoulds, when I swim in the heaviness of it, the headlines, the fear and hate of it, then, with luck, something like a slice of moon will arrive, clean as a bone, just above the horizon, just before dawn. And beside it, on that dark slate, a star will lodge near the cusp. And with luck, I will have you to see it with, the two of us. Fools stepping out the back door in our pajamas. Is that Venus? I think so. Let's call it Venus, cuddling up to the moon. And there are stars further away, sending out light that will not reach us in our lifetimes. But we are choosing, before the chaos starts up again, to stand in this particular light. We have all this unmarked black space around our torsos, our arms. We have this exquisite life that we can again begin to call us. Hope springs. There's always the illusion I will do my to-do list, the deep list. There's the hope for the yoga poses daily, and the power walk, and the book review. A new eating plan I'll stick to. The greens, oh the greens. Bread banished to the hard roll at the end of the week. Some tall Eastern publishing house will worship me with real roses, with bank accounts. I will evolve, wear kindness like a long, colorful skirt. Even my fingers slimming down, the grace of swans in each wrist. My teeth will whiten, I'll be strong, I won't care. The past dripping off like swimming pool water. I'll step barefoot along the hot poolside tiles. I'll curl up, big hat, long legs, onto the chaise lounge of the rest of my life. When I take a poem off rattle.com, when I take a poem off rattle.com or a poem a day and print it, sometimes the poet's name gets chopped off. No credit where credit is due. Easy to do a search and find the author, but for a minute, it's as if the poem is a gift from the aquifer. The water under the paths we walk every day, all of us. And from time to time, one of us can drill like an ice fisher, can make a hole and drop a line and catch something useful. Pull it up, hand over hand, and see what we've got. The slippery, silvery sides, its bright, flat eye, its gills opening and closing. I'll end with two poems from that first book that Greg published. First I'll read the poem about the downy gentian, which is the painting on the cover. The real downy gentian doesn't look anything like that, but I like Wendy Banham's idea of the downy gentian. When my daughter is deeply troubled. When my daughter is deeply troubled, I tell her of the downy gentian. I tell her of the prairie cemetery, mowed twice every summer for years. I tell her how the mowers died or moved away, and the prairie, ungroomed, grew better than ever. The downy gentian, all those summers cut off at the throat. It bloomed that September, purple and strong. Bright cups set down in tall grass prairie. My daughter moves as if in fields, through the rooms of her house, her body bending over books or working in her kitchen, her hands scraping carrots, slicing onions. Can you see her not giving up? Can you see the roots reaching down into darkness like the bones of a very fine hand?